Amid the sound of waves mingling with the fresh air in Bangkok, an elderly couple was lovingly embracing each other by the railing, looking incredibly sweet. Suddenly, someone approached and said to them, "Excuse me, you dropped this." Sura said as she handed the handkerchief to them. The woman took the handkerchief and repeatedly thanked her. "It's nothing," Sura replied softly. With that, she turned and walked away. The couple continued to praise the girl. "She's so beautiful." Exactly. Sura stood in another corner, gazing at the windy sky, then immersed herself in thought. Amazing. A few days ago, I could never have imagined going to the beach in Bangkok. She recalled Se-young's words, "Let's go on a trip, me and you." I flashed back to a few days ago when I received the trip suggestion from Se-young. The female lead was extremely excited and said, "Going to Bangkok? It's like going to the supermarket next door." The young man calmly replied, "Yes, even if we go together, the trip has to be separate." "Do you know my team will be filming in Bangkok?" "Yes," Sura replied softly. The male lead continued, "I will go a day early, you can come find me. I'll be waiting." Back to the present, Sura was in Bangkok, admiring the peaceful sea. She regretfully said, "It's a bit rushed. If I had come earlier, could I have met you, senior? No one recognizes us on this remote island." In another corner of Bangkok, where the sun was gently shining and the waves were gently lapping, Se-young was intently building a sandcastle with a little girl. The two were playing very enthusiastically. At this moment, the male lead suddenly stood up and gently patted the girl's head. He walked forward, where his lover was waiting. Se-young's footprints were left on the sand. He approached Sura and softly said, "Hello, it must have been tough getting here." Seeing Se-young, the female lead's eyes lit up. She exclaimed, "Senior, I'm feeling very excited and nervous right now, you know." "Yes, I can see that," the male lead replied. Sura continued, "So, can I try something I've never done before?" The young man responded with a charming smile. Then he extended his hands forward and said, "Go ahead, try what you've never done before." Seeing this, Sura couldn't hide the joy deep in her eyes. She ran forward with increasingly quick steps. She threw herself into Se-young's arms, hugging and laughing with her man. The couple spun around a few times, filled with affection. They were so happy they burst out laughing. This scene was witnessed from start to finish by the little girl from earlier. Her heart seemed to shatter as she saw the older brother, who had just been playing with her, now happily with another girl. Watching the sunset over the sea, Sura couldn't help but remark, "It's so beautiful, the sun sets so quickly." "Indeed," the male lead quickly replied. At this moment, the girl turned to him and gently asked, "But who was the little girl with you earlier?" Kang Se-young immediately denied, "No, just a tourist." Curiously, no one here recognized him. He put on a handsome expression and said, "I need to get to Hollywood soon." Seeing Sura laugh like that, the young man was very curious. "Why are you laughing?" "So cute." The female lead softly responded. Se-young, looking puzzled, pointed to himself and asked, "Who, me?" At this, the girl couldn't help but burst out laughing. She gently stroked her boyfriend's chin and praised, "So cute, Kang Se-young." The male lead then retorted, "Do you realize you're speaking more casually with me every day? Why, am I not allowed to?" Sura teased. Se-young, 3 parts exasperated and 7 parts indulgent, hugged the girl and softly said, "It's just because today is your birthday, so I'll let it slide." The two gazed silently at the sunset over the sea. At this moment, Sura opened up about her feelings. "It really feels like a dream. Whether at home, the office, or the waiting room, I'm so happy to be close to you without having to hide. Just thinking about tomorrow already makes me feel regretful." Se-young gently replied, "I'm sorry." "For what?" the female lead asked, puzzled. Looking into his girlfriend's eyes, filled with love, he thought to himself, "Because I can't tell the world that I love you. I've blindly loved you, causing you to lose the happiness that a normal person would have when being with the one they love without having to hide." Despite Sura calling his name, Se-young was still lost in his thoughts about these everyday matters. "I give it to you as a birthday gift. I'm not good at expressing my feelings to let you know my heart," Se-young said, and then added coldly, "because I'm too handsome." Hearing this, Sura expressed her surprise. What? What are you suddenly confessing something so strange for? Do you also want to do something you've never done like me? The man could only tell himself, I'm sorry, I can't do anything else now. My love for you is too great to let you go. Seeing his girlfriend so happy, Se-young insisted, so, I'm sure you feel the same as I do. Night began to fall. As night fell, inside the hotel, Sura's voice echoed, this is wonderful. The dinner was delicious, and the hotel is beautiful. How did you arrange all of this? Se-young Hyun quickly responded, of course, I had to ask Manager Kim for help. Really? Then we must thank Manager Kim next time, Sura said as she jumped up onto the hotel balcony. The young man was startled and kept urging, what are you doing? That's dangerous. Come down. It's fine, the balcony is wide. Come up here too, Sura replied cheerfully. The male lead held his girlfriend tightly and sighed, honestly. Just listen to me for once, my lady. Sura suddenly jumped onto the young man and softly said, I've figured out something I've never done before. What is it? The male lead asked. The girl hesitated and then said, can we kiss? Surprised by this request, Se-young managed a shy smile and teased, where did you learn to ask such things? Sura gently kissed his soft lips. From his lips to his eyes, she lovingly caressed every part of his face, unable to let go. The couple guided each other into the bedroom, unable to part. Se-young Hyun laid her down on the bed and softly said, Happy birthday. Thank you, I love this gift, she replied. The man continued, the birthday gift isn't over yet. He then removed his shirt, revealing his tall, muscular physique. The atmosphere was incredibly charged. Se-young Hyun gently kissed Sura's lips. He gazed at her face and remarked, You're so beautiful. Then, they engaged in an intimate scene, but I won't go into detail here. At this moment, Se-young softly said, It's still early, I haven't even started the second gift. Suddenly, he noticed that his girlfriend had tears in her eyes. Stroking her gently, he said, Shall we stop? The female lead quickly explained, No, it's not that. I'm just so happy. As soon as she finished speaking, Se-young Hyun kissed the corner of her eye and said, I'm even happier. They continued to debate who was happier. No, I'm the happier one, Sura said, her voice full of innocence and joy. Really? I think. I'm even happier, Se-young Hyun replied with a soft laugh, his eyes filled with love. I told you, it's me, Sura insisted. Finally, the male lead whispered, I love you. Hearing this, Sura froze for a few seconds, then she smiled contentedly. Se-young Hyun, seeing this, teased, Why are you smiling? Don't you have something to say? She laughed and said, Well, She paused and then continued, I'll save it for later. The hero, confused, asked, What? Sura explained, I'll tell you later. The man sighed with relief and said, All right, tonight you're mine. I won't let you go. Okay, Sura replied slowly. I love you too, senior. With that, they continued their passionate night together. The female lead thought to herself, I regret not keeping those words to myself. The next morning, the gentle sunlight woke her up. Se-young Hyun, lying beside her, asked, Are you awake? He stroked her head affectionately. Feeling his love, she smiled. The hero, in a doting tone, said, Sleep a bit more, it's still early. Why aren't you sleeping? You have filming later, Sura wondered. The man honestly replied, Because I wanted to watch you sleep. That's a lie, the female lead said stubbornly. It's true, Se-young Hyun responded sincerely. She leaned on his shoulder, making him worry, Aren't you going to sleep more? You haven't slept much. Time is too precious. I can sleep on the plane, Sura said with a smile. Se-young looked at the girl he loved, unable to resist kissing her forehead. He suggested, Then let's go for a walk and watch the sunrise. Sure, the female lead eagerly replied. Outside, the sky was glowing with a brilliant pink hue, accompanied by the gentle sound of waves. The couple walked along the sandy beach, taking in the scenery around them. They couldn't help but marvel at how different it felt to walk at this time compared to the previous day. It really is, Sura said, looking at the man beside her, lost in thought. This reminds me so much of filming time. Back then, I thought my life and seniors would never intersect again, and I was heartbroken. Now, we're dating without any cameras around. I still can't believe these moments. Does he know I'm becoming greedier with each passing day? Se-young, absorbed in watching his girlfriend, finally spoke, I want to ask you something. Yes, what is it? Sura replied. The young man continued, do you want people to know about our relationship? Hearing this, the girl hesitated, and Se-young's gaze became deep and contemplative. Finally, Sura answered, yes. Actually, before, I absolutely didn't want that, but now I'm not so sure. If the public acknowledges me as your first love, then my nickname will probably become Kang Se-young-hyun's girlfriend rather than actress Wang Sura. I also worry that you might be hurt because of me. That's why, before becoming a successful actress, I told myself not to have such desires. People are truly deceitful. Their greed knows no bounds. Saying this, Sura smiled brightly as if nothing had happened. Seeing Se-young in a dazed state, the female lead explained further, even so, I know this isn't a simple issue to decide on a whim. My life is good enough as it is now, so don't worry about those problems anymore, okay? When the young man remained silent, Sura asked, why aren't you answering me? Don't worry, understand? Having such a considerate girlfriend like this, Se-young's heart warmed even more. He affectionately pulled her into his arms and said, all right, I understand. Let's endure a bit longer. When we do make our relationship public, I'll be known as Wang Sura's boyfriend. The female lead was taken aback and asked, really, will that day ever come? The man quickly reassured her, of course, it won't be long now, because you're an actress I truly admire. Sura wanted to savor this moment forever and agreed, yes, it won't be far off. She then placed her hand on her boyfriend's shoulder. Se-young-hyun looked at her and smiled unconsciously. They walked side by side under the evening sunset, sharing a sweet and priceless moment together. The next morning, at the airport, a woman cheerfully called out, Sura. The female lead, recognizing the familiar voice, exclaimed in surprise, big sis. The sisters hugged each other joyfully. Jin Kyung remarked, it's only been a day. How was the trip? Did you have fun? Sura happily replied, yes. The island was really beautiful. Next time, you must go with the CEO. The woman glanced around and then used her coat to shield the female lead, saying, all right, if you want to talk more, let's do it in the car before anyone notices the future big actress. The female lead blushed and said shyly, anyway. Before she could finish her sentence, Sura paused as she overheard some passers-by talking, hey, isn't that Kim Chong-gu? So all those sweet images were just an act? Gives me goosebumps. Unbelievable, someone saw them hugging in a fancy restaurant and on the car. But they still had to get off the car, how could they be hugging? Sura, curious, asked, sis, what are they talking about? Jin Kyung responded, oh, it's nothing. And while you're on this trip, you should avoid checking the internet. That's true, Kang Se-young-hyun is always right in front of me anyway, Sura remarked. His pictures are all over the internet, aren't they? Jin Kyung added. Hearing this, the female lead blushed, immediately responding, no way. But what exactly is going on with him? The woman hesitated before saying, well. A while later, in the car, after understanding the situation clearly, Sura was left in shock, her mouth agape, what? An exposé? Kyung quickly explained, yes, as soon as he arrived in South Korea, several anonymous articles were published widely. The articles were very detailed and provided convincing evidence. Former employees who worked with Kim Chong-gu continuously posted agreeing comments on SNS, without any intention of defending the male idol. Fans also turned their backs after reading the exposés about Chong-gu, and public opinion erupted in a wave of outrage at his terrible behavior. Kyung continued, Kim Chong-gu's agency quickly admitted everything before the evidence was even released. Anyway, the whole of South Korea was in chaos yesterday. After reading the articles about Chong-gu, Sura's mood sank. She thought to herself, I just got back to Korea, and this is what's happening. Kyung then added, by the way, it was Choi Min-ho who wrote those articles. Hearing this, Sura couldn't help but show her astonishment. Kyung calmly responded, yes, that's my guess, but Choi Min-ho is the only one who knows Kim Chong-gu that well. But honestly, the fact that that jerk was married and cheating would have come out eventually, even without Min-ho's intervention. That idiot Chong-gu probably still feels some guilt towards you, doesn't he? Sura, feeling disheartened, couldn't find the words to respond. Kyung reassured her, anyway, Kim Chong-gu's career is over. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a woman coldly threw a pile of luggage out into the yard. Chong-gu, unable to believe his eyes, stammered, "Mi Yang, what is this?" The woman responded indifferently, "What do you think?" "It's your luggage, Kim Chong-gu. Get out of here, and don't forget to answer your lawyer's calls." With that, she turned her back and walked inside. Desperate to grasp at his last hope, Chong-gu lowered his pride and pleaded, "Mi Yang, wait. Please, give me one more chance. I know you love me." But Mi Yang was no longer the naive woman she once was. She immediately called for her bodyguards to protect her and coldly told Chong-gu, "There's nothing left to say." She shook off his hand and sternly added, "Chong-gu, in this situation, you should be honest. We got married for love, didn't we?" he asked desperately. "Love? No, Chong-gu. You needed my family's money and status. Why did I ever think you would be a romantic husband? At first, I believed it because you knew your place. You were like a puppy at my feet, easy to lead. If this were a film, you could reshoot the scenes, but your scandal is all over the internet. I will never forgive a dog that has dared to climb on top of me." Chong-gu, filled with deep regret, desperately tried to justify himself, "Mi Yang, I was drunk at that time, so I acted recklessly." But before he could finish, Mi Yang slapped him hard across the face with a resounding smack. The woman spoke with a mocking tone, "Enjoy yourself, Chong-gu. Even with that face, I still like it." With that, she slammed the door shut. Listening to this, Kyung couldn't help but burst into laughter, saying, "All day I just want to laugh like crazy." While the girl was laughing contentedly, Sura glanced out the window, silently thinking, in the end, it turned out like this. He has made my heart so heavy, how did it come to this? I feel sorry for him, really sorry for his entire life. Suddenly, at this moment, the female lead's phone rang, and she looked at the screen, surprisedly asking herself, "Video call?" Then, she quickly answered the call. The screen immediately showed Kang Se-young-hyun's face. Sura's attitude changed 180 degrees, and she greeted cheerfully, "Senior. Do you see clearly?" the man asked suddenly. The female lead smiled and replied, "Yes, have you finished filming?" Se-young on the other side said, "No, I'm taking a break. We'll continue filming in the evening." "Jin Kyung, are you doing well?" Kyung quickly responded, "Yes. But why did you call for a video call?" "Just thinking that we've never video called before," the guy said. Kyung changed the subject, "Senior, you must have heard about Kim Chong-gu, right?" However, Se-young didn't respond. Instead, he kindly asked the female lead, "Have you eaten yet? You must be very hungry, right? Oh, you probably had food on the plane, didn't you?" At this moment, Sura suddenly called out to her senior, "I'm fine, really." Upon hearing this, Se-young looked surprised. Finally, he just smiled faintly and replied, "All right." Sura thought to herself, "Just all right. This short answer makes me feel much more comfortable." She had said that it's karma, self-inflicted consequences. She still didn't know if that was really true in this world because she had encountered some exceptions. But she still wanted to live and believe that no matter how arrogant they are, they will eventually come back to their senses. Hopefully, the world will become more beautiful. Amidst the bustling street full of people, in a certain salon, Sura pushed the door open and greeted. "Hello, madam." The woman inside warmly welcomed her. "Sura, right? Come on in. Today, I'm just doing a quick trim, right?" The female lead replied. "Yes, because I still have to take on the role for a while, so I can't change too much." The owner suddenly exclaimed. "Really, speaking of which, today is the first broadcast of the show, isn't it?" Sura confirmed. "Yes, tonight we will sit down with the assistants to watch the first airing together." The woman excitedly said. "I'm so thrilled. Definitely, me and the other members of the shop will all watch it." The female lead couldn't help but smile upon hearing these words. She thought to herself, after the dreamlike first trip with her senior, she was returning to continue the busy filming days where she couldn't even open her eyes. She didn't even realize when the first airing of the show was approaching. At the same time, elsewhere, a stack of documents was placed on the table. Se-young-hyun looked at the pile of documents in front of him with a puzzled expression and asked softly, "What are all these?" Wang-soo laughed and replied, "Oh come on, you already know, why are you asking? Of course, they are the scripts of the movies you've participated in. Director Young looks really cool in those scripts. The characters' settings are quite different from yours." However, it was just fitting with the thoughts running through his head, wasn't it? Upon hearing this, the male lead directly declined. "Anyway, I can't do it. After the live broadcast ends, I'll take about a year off." Wang-soo on the side continued to persuade. "Se-young, your words sound quite chilly. First of all, just finish reading the script. After reading it, who knows, your thoughts might change." Hearing a knock on the door, the man spoke up loudly, "Come in." Kong Lee opened the door to the room and greeted, "Good morning, representatives." "Oh, the senior is here too? So, about the contract." "Oh," the male lead responded coldly. At the same time, Wang-soo also stepped forward and said, "Kong, come in quickly." And the young man from earlier politely added, "Oh, yes. Please come in, senior, and the representative too." At this point, Wang-soo teased the male lead, "That's right, Kong Se-young-hyun. You should also care a bit about the artists in the company." Then, he took out a document folder and said, "Hey, Kong, try reading the script. Have you heard about Director Lee? Although I heard that Director Lee's paycheck isn't much, what do you think?" "Oh, well. I quite like this company. If the pay is decent, I'd like to take it," Kong replied. While the two of them were discussing work matters, Se-young quickly took out his phone. The screen showed a message from Wang Sura, roughly informing him of their work schedule. With many people around, it seemed they couldn't pretend to be intimate. Reading these lines, the male lead smiled happily. He began typing a reply, "About 5 minutes, no problem, I'll come to your office." The two people beside him were still enthusiastic about the contract. The company representative finalized the contract and said, "This time, I'm counting on you." Kong replied, "Of course, we'll need the advertising company's assistance." "That's right," the company agreed. "So, you go down to the conference room first. Will you also watch the first broadcast?" Kong Lee asked. "Yes, we'll go down early," Wang-soo replied. At this moment, Kong Lee suddenly exclaimed, "Exactly. What, is there still something bothering you about the contract?" the company representative asked. The young man hesitated and said, "Not about that. Our company is involved in dating matters, I'm sure there won't be any conflict, right?" I guess," the concerned man asked, "Who are you dating?" Kong replied cheerfully, "It's not that serious, but there's someone I want to date." The representative casually said, "Well, I don't mind who you date, but don't make it public. You know? It's almost time for the broadcast, absolutely no obstacles should be created for the film." Se-young-hyun, sitting next to them, also caught some of the conversation. He thought to himself, what's going on? Does he already have someone he likes? If that's the case, I don't need to keep an eye on that guy anymore, Kong Lee quickly said. If everything goes well, it might even help the movie become famous. Hearing this, Wang-soo was also surprised. Huh? What do you mean by that? The young man's heart was blooming with joy as he revealed, "It's Sura, the one I like." As soon as he finished speaking, the company representative spat out the tea in his mouth. Kong still didn't understand what was happening, confusedly asking, "Representative, are you okay?" That looked just like a scene from a comic. "Ah, yes, I'm fine. But the more important thing is the person, it's Sura," the man replied softly. Kong Lee still innocently responded, "Yes, in the movie we're also lovers, so if it's revealed, it might be better for marketing, right? But I haven't confessed to her yet, so saying this might be too presumptuous, don't you think?" The young man began to open up. "Actually, from the moment I saw Sura's music video, I fell for her at first sight. So, when I heard I would be acting in the same movie with her and as a couple, I was extremely excited. Moreover, while working together, I found Sura's personality very good, which made me like her even more. Her work attitude is very professional, there's a lot I can learn from her, and she also takes great care of me. While Kong Lee was lost in love, a comment shattered his dreams. She already has a boyfriend, kid, Se-young said nonchalantly. Shocked, Kong Lee asked, really? Yes, she does, the leading man replied coldly. The young man's emotions were suddenly stirred. He exclaimed, I spent an entire day filming with her and didn't feel a thing. Director Moon, do you know who it is? Is it someone from the showbiz world? Wang Su, standing nearby, could only feign ignorance, huh? Really? Maybe not? Kong Lee lamented, oh my god. I planned to confess to her after today's first broadcast, and now this bombshell drops. Hearing this, Se-young thought smugly, look at him, ready to confess already. He'll surely give up now. His love is doomed before it even begins, leaving him utterly dejected and shocked. But immediately, Kong Lee regained his composure and decided to make a choice. Though shocked, he wasn't going to give up so easily, right? So what if the flower has an owner? I'll find a way to win her over. I'm very determined, no matter what it takes, he declared. Wang Su, hearing this, wished he could cover Kong Lee's mouth, fearing that Kong Sung-hyun might get angry and beat him up. Kong Lee, pleased with his new plan, didn't notice Se-young quietly simmering with resentment. Even Wang Su found it hard to read Se-young-hyun's expression, which made it even scarier. Finally, Kong Lee bid farewell and left. I'll go plan the timing for my confession now. Director Moon, see you inside later. Wang Su, upon hearing Kong Lee's plan, thought to himself, hurry up and go while you still can. The atmosphere around them gradually became tense. Unable to contain himself, Se-young coldly declared, indeed, making our relationship public to the media is the best option. I can't stand another guy getting close to my girlfriend anymore. Hearing this, Wang Su became agitated. He quickly stepped forward to dissuade the burly man, calm down, calm down. Even if you're an A-list star or whatever, getting involved in dating rumors can drag you down with just one article. Remember how the script for Chang Hoon-jo and Leo's movie was changed after they went public with their relationship? You don't want that, do you? Seeing the leading man on the verge of tears, Wang Su continued to lament, seriously, still not getting it. To restrain Se-young, he had to be blunt, if you and Sura go public, Sura will be the one facing more trouble. The media and public opinion won't spare her. They'll attack her so viciously that she won't be herself anymore. Someone with a fragile spirit like Sura will undoubtedly suffer greatly, becoming haunted and sleepless. Evidently, his words had the desired effect. Se-young, upon hearing this, immediately cut Wang Su off, preventing him from saying another word. I was joking, you should know when to stop. The company representative finally breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, mentioning Sura was the only way to make him obedient. Se-young-hyun, this guy, usually easygoing, but when it comes to Sura, he always comes up with these outlandish ideas, making it impossible to be at ease. After all, Kong Sung-hyun, Wang Sura, and Kong Lee are all the company's core, its star attractions. Thinking about this, he silently cried in his heart, oh, Jin Kyung, I miss you so much. Let's switch scenes. When the female lead, Sura, met Se-young at the office, she exclaimed after learning the whole story, so, Kong Lee said he likes me? Is that right? The man responded indifferently, yes, that's correct. Sura continued, what on earth is he talking about? I have no idea what to say, but that's how it is, the male lead replied. She paused for a moment, then suddenly remembered, Now that you mention it, from the first time we met, Kong said he became my fan after seeing my music video. Sung, upon hearing this, became jealous. He gently flicked the female lead's forehead and explained, not just a fan, he fell for you at first sight. That's what Kong Lee said. Really? The woman exclaimed in surprise. Yes, the male lead replied nonchalantly. Sura, stunned, asked, in front of the seniors and the company representative? That's right, Se-young confirmed. The female lead remained silent for a few minutes, then she broke into a smile. Sung, seeing this, teased, you're that happy, huh? Sura quickly denied, no. She laughed and said, I'm not smiling because I'm happy. I was just imagining your expression when you heard those words. That's why you look so gloomy, right? As if I'd be that childish, Sung retorted. The woman replied, yes, but your face is still drooping. The male lead stubbornly denied it. Sura continued to tease, really? So, lots of people like me, and I'm in such a good mood. Hearing a rising actor say he likes your girlfriend must make you proud and happy, right? Sung Hyun put on a gloomy face and said, not happy at all. Sura cheerfully responded, why not? Why aren't you happy? Seeing her face, Se-young felt his mood lighten. He smiled slightly and said, you've caught me, haven't you? Sura poked the guy's cheek and playfully said, after a few days apart, how did you become so cute, huh? So cute. Only with me do you say things like that, the male lead replied. Hearing this, the girl suddenly burst into laughter. Sung, seeing his girlfriend's reaction, remarked, you're laughing like a fool, young lady. The two continued to tease each other. Tell me the truth, do you act this way because you know you're cute? Sura asked. A moment later, Sung suddenly stood up, extended his hand towards Sura, and said, come on, we need to get to the meeting room. The show is about to be broadcast. The female lead quickly replied, right, I've been looking forward to it all day. It's the first broadcast. Because of you. I almost lost track of time. But we have to go separately, Sura said. Well, no need to. Since we're inside the company, we can go together, the young man replied softly. The main characters opened the meeting room door and politely said, sorry for being late. Come in quickly, a voice echoed. The young man leading the meeting said, basically, everyone who needs to be here is already here. You've all worked hard until now. Although the filming isn't finished yet, it's precisely now that it truly begins. But today, let's pretend to be audience members to watch the outcome. Then let's begin, I'll turn off the lights. Enjoy the show, everyone. At this moment, Sura was extremely nervous, it was finally starting. The movie where she played the lead role. Wang Sura fixed her gaze on the screen, lost in thought. In the midst of the August summer, a blockbuster live TV series had begun. Later, it became one of my most iconic works. Amidst the sparkling street filled with countless stars, the main characters got into the car to head back. Sura couldn't help but feel joyful, saying, even now, my heart is still thumping. From fine arts to music, I never imagined I'd get to be part of such an amazing movie. It feels like I'm dreaming. If it's a dream, then what do you plan to do? Sung asked softly. Upon hearing this, the female lead replied, your acting is excellent. The male lead chuckled in response, you're also doing very well in acting. Hearing these words, Sura laughed gleefully like a child. She exclaimed, I'm so happy to receive praise from my seniors for my acting skills. Why is that? The young man asked gently. The female lead continued, yes, because I know it's not just empty praise. Right, in that running scene of yours. Suddenly, the sound of the phone ringing interrupted their conversation. Se-young glanced briefly and asked, who is it? Sura replied, flustered, it's Kong Lee. Should I answer it? With that, she turned to look at the male lead with a shy expression. The man lowered his voice and said, why hide it from me? Hearing this, the female lead thought to herself, indeed, if I don't answer with you here, you might misunderstand and feel even worse. Then, she promptly answered the call. All right, Kong, Sura answered. Have you arrived home yet? Kong asked. I'm on my way back. I had to stop by the restroom, so I couldn't greet you, she explained. The voice on the other end of the line continued, so, have you traveled far? Sura patiently replied, not too far. Why do you ask? After a moment of hesitation, Kong gathered his courage and said, there's something I need to tell you today. Something to tell me, the female lead wondered. The man softly responded, yes, and it has to be today. Sura casually replied, is that so? In her heart, she wondered what this could be about, but she had a feeling she could guess part of it. Knowing Kang's thoughts and continuing to postpone like this made her feel even more guilty. Perhaps it would be better for both of them if she spoke up a little sooner. Finally, she spoke up before Se-young Hyun's astonishment, let's meet up later. You know the place. Okay, about 15 minutes from now. See you later then. After the girl hung up, the male lead exclaimed in panic, "What are you thinking?" Sura replied candidly, "Continuing to prolong this without clarity will make both parties uncomfortable. Pretending not to know Kang's feelings while knowing them clearly is exhausting. So, wouldn't it be better to speak up clearly and rearrange our thoughts? We still have to film together tomorrow." These words struck Se Young-hyun's heart like a dagger, as they were too accurate. Seeing her boyfriend looking so dejected, the female lead reassured him, "To ease your mind, I'll be straightforward with him." The male lead gazed intently at the other's face, observing the sparkling eyes of the girl, and eventually had to surrender. He agreed to the female lead's request, saying, "Wherever it leads, so be it." A moment later, the car arrived in front of the cafe. Sura looked out the window and pondered. He asked me to come straight up to the second floor of the cafe. It's getting late, so there probably won't be any other customers. Suddenly, Sung turned to instruct her, "You go ahead and I'll wait here." "All right, are you staying here then?" the girl asked, puzzled. The male lead replied, bewildered, "Could it be?" Upon hearing this, Sura reassured him, I know. I'll be as quick as possible." With that, she stepped out of the car and headed straight to the second floor of the cafe. As she walked, she waved goodbye to her boyfriend. Se Young-hyun, sitting in the car, couldn't help but marvel at the scene unfolding before him. Look at that, she looks so happy. It's incredible. She's only just started as the lead, and yet the other party is already teasing her to this extent. Who knows how many more guys will silently wait in their cars for Sura in the future. 3 minutes passed, then 6. He sat in the car, growing more and more frustrated as time passed. By the 10th minute, there was still no sign of the female lead returning. Worried, he wondered, why hasn't she come out yet? Her demeanor was clearly not one of cold decisiveness. He imagined the scene of his girlfriend meeting her romantic rival. At that moment, Sura would say, "I'm sorry, Kong." Meanwhile, Kong would smugly think, will I still be able to cling on after this reaction? Ultimately, he concluded that the romantic rival was the guy who claimed to have a girlfriend but still stubbornly wanted to compete. The man, who had been quietly waiting all this time, finally couldn't bear it any longer and went to find Sura himself. Meanwhile, inside the cafe, Sura was surprised by the scene around her. "Kong Lee, do you think I'm causing trouble for this place?" The young man explained, "No, this is a friend's cafe. Since it's almost closing time, we're just borrowing the space for a bit." "No worries, don't stress," Sura said, feeling the pressure inside. Kong continued, "Don't stand there, come over here and sit, please." "Okay, sure," the girl replied softly. In her mind, she thought, today, I made an effort to choose my outfit more carefully than usual. Honestly, I rarely dress so formally. The two of them sat down at the table, and Kong kindly asked, "Is the air conditioning too cold? Let me get a soft blanket for you." No, it's fine," Sura politely declined. The man then brought out some beautifully plated desserts and asked, "Do you like sweets? They have amazing desserts here. Please try some." Upon hearing this, the female lead replied softly, "Yes, thank you." She thought to herself, well, that's really considerate of him. I thought he was going to. Suddenly, the girl noticed Kang's hands trembling. She looked up at him, and he seemed incredibly scared and flustered. She thought to herself, a normal boy who's always playful and teasing, but now he's so nervous and awkward like this. When I heard about Kang's feelings for me from my senior, I was just too busy admiring my senior's cute demeanor to think much about Kong. Since when did this kid develop feelings for me? Finally, Sura decided to break the tense atmosphere. It's awkward to stay silent like this, isn't it? Kong gently asked, "Shall I play some music?" The female lead laughed and replied, "No, it's okay." Then she asked, "More importantly, what do you want to say?" At this point, she reminded herself that she shouldn't prolong the situation and should end it quickly. After hearing this, Kong hesitated and said, "Well." He continued to stutter, unable to find the right words. Eventually, the young man gathered all his courage and began to say, "Sister, actually." Before being interrupted by the sudden appearance of Se Young-hyun, which made both sides feel embarrassed. Sura turned to look at the male lead with a disdainful expression. The atmosphere here became even more gloomy than ever before. Both Kang and Sura showed clear surprise and asked, "Senior, why are you here?" The male lead replied sarcastically. "Do you want to compete for love?" At this point, the young man still didn't understand the situation and innocently answered, "Yes." Se-young chuckled lightly, stepping closer until his eyes met his rival's, emphasizing each word, "Let's see, I'll beat you to it." A while later, as the main couple was on their way back home, Se-young, like a timid little rabbit, could only say, "I know. I'm sorry, okay? I know I was wrong, so please don't glare at me anymore because I can't focus on driving." Sura, infuriated, exclaimed loudly, "I'm really going to," but the man cut her off, "Seriously, why am I like this? I'm such a scatterbrain." Upon hearing this, Se-young immediately rebutted, "Awkward? What's there to feel awkward about? A professional should be able to control themselves. It's none of your business, why would I dare to interfere?" the girl wondered. She then turned to look at the leading man, showing concern as she asked, "Filming is your main work, but are you okay, senior? If it's not okay, then what?" Se-young replied. The leading lady continued, "I didn't think such a thing would happen. But if Kong talks to someone about us, then what?" The woman felt her hands trembling with fear. Seeing this, the leading man gently placed a hand over hers and said, "I didn't think such a thing would happen. If Kong talks to someone about us, then, there won't be any of that, don't overthink it, don't worry about things that haven't happened yet." Observing the scene before her, Sura acknowledged that openly dating her senior wasn't an easy matter. No. Upon reflection, he had much more to lose than she did. If she added pressure on him, it wouldn't be right, it was best not to pressure him. So why did this man suddenly appear here? It was already late, the car parked in front of the apartment building. The girl, feeling embarrassed, said that. "Anyway, thank you for bringing me home, senior." Suddenly, the leading man reached out, holding onto Wang Sura's purse strap. "What's this?" the girl asked curiously. The man continued, "Why did you get out like this?" "What would if you didn't?" the naive leading lady asked. Se-young, composed, explained, "Only I know the feeling after 4 days of not seeing you, right?" The leading lady's intention suddenly became frozen. She wondered, is this man jealous today, or sulking, or just wanting me to spend more time with him? Then she sweetly pampered her boyfriend, "Yes, compared to you, I'm even happier after 4 days without seeing you, Se-young Hyun dear. Hurry home and rest a lot, okay?" The man paused for a few seconds after hearing that, then reacted, "So now you're punishing me, Sura?" Upon hearing this, she could only silently chuckle at the amusement. After that, she turned to grasp the car door handle and said to the young man, "How could that be logical? Now, please let me go." In the blink of an eye, a hand reached out to stop the girl. Se-young Hyun stepped closer and softly asked, "Where are you planning to run off to?" Saying so, the young man gently touched the girl's lips. Sura also didn't hesitate to respond to the other's kiss. Between them unfolded an intimate scene of passionate kissing right inside the car compartment. That night, they exchanged the sweetest of moments. Suddenly, at this moment, Se-young Hyun gently caressed the girl's body, then stopped before the first button of her shirt. Sura only realized it now. But who could have seen this? The male lead remained silent for a long while upon hearing that. Then, he carefully glanced around their lips, involuntarily smiling. Se-young both tenderly embraced the female lead and said, "Here's the thing, since a while ago, the street light has been broken." Saying so, the young man stepped closer again, and the two continued their intimate scene as before right inside the car amidst the city, unaware that someone seemed to be silently observing from behind.